When I received the email saying I had been accepted to deliver a chapel speech my grade 12 year, my first reaction, being the ridiculously keen and overambitious student I was, emphasis on was pure excitement. That lasted about 5 seconds until I finished scrolling through the congratulatory email and read the date of my speech. June 6th, the last chapel speech. My thoughts were immediately interrupted by total confusion as to why they chose me. What was Rev thinking? What wise words was I expected to bestow upon my peers as they said goodbye to this bubble everyone likes to constantly remind us we live in and take on new challenges, opportunities, and experiences? I had nothing. It's not like I've spent the last 4 years learning the value of teamwork from a varsity sport. The only time I can remember teamwork being prevalent in my life was when Reagan and I challenged ourselves to eat an entire container of salsa in one sitting. And I have to admit, I don't always readily apply the concept of optimism, like when I took a look at my schedule for the first time this year and saw that on Wednesdays I'd have calc, both first and second period. There was definitely no looking on the bright side. I thought that maybe I could talk about the fact that I've persevered through long rehearsals for the school play. But then the underlying topic of my speech would be that I played the part of a hooker. And I don't think my family would appreciate that. I guess my problem is that I'm not like everyone else who is asked to do a chapel speech. I'm not super smart. I'm not your ideal student leader, and the number of likes I get on any one of my Instagram photos speaks to my lack of popularity. So what am I? So what am I? Now there is a chapel speech topic I can run with. In the small-scale community of Appleby College, where geniuses and superstars meet and grow through their accomplishments, I identify with the term high-achieving societies have deemed unfavorable. I consider myself to be average. Like many of you, I never excelled at physics, math, bio, chem, essays, social interactions, tying my left shoe, tying my right shoe, or editing run-on sentences. I was never anyone's first choice when picking teams in gym, and I never had a date to the highly anticipated middle school dance. Every high achiever must be pitying me in this moment, but all in, I think everyone who considers themselves as average is already 2 steps ahead of the game. Earlier this year, DQ spoke to us about mediocrity. But she's dating David Gow. How average can they be? So I feel like the torch has been passed on to me to enlighten all of you on what it's really like to be truly, absolutely, and utterly average. So what is average? Merriam-Webster defines average as mediocre, not good. In fact, even using the classic Merriam-Webster definition in my speech was pretty average of me. Pretty mediocre, and definitely not good. There are over 7.2 billion people on this planet, and between you and me, I'd say give or take 20% of those people are of significant importance. Your Barack Obamas and your Beyoncés. Another 20% of the world are your low performers, the kind of people you see in Vine compilations or online. Your bad luck Bryans. This leaves, I want to say 90% of the population. Like I said, math is not my strong suit. However, that significant percent of people is smack dab in the middle, going with the flow, doing well, but not considered the best. This system of social rankings creates the shape of a bell curve, something I'm sure you capstoners are far too familiar with. So, to those in the middle, I say, it's time to come to terms with your place in the world. We live in an environment where the goal of greatness is inevitable. Constant self-betterment, trying to be the smartest in your class, the strongest player on the team, or even the prettiest of all your friends. It can be exhausting. We act like this because we've been told our entire lives that we can do it, to reach for the stars, to dream big. Don't get me wrong, I understand the premise behind being ambitious and setting goals, and I'm sure all of you do too. But the problem with ambition isn't about wishing to be better. It's the great irony that you may never be the best. For example, by striving to be the smartest, you have to risk failure. No matter how much you learn or how much you improve, there will always be someone better. I know what you're thinking. If I don't believe I can become the best, what's the point in putting in the effort? But what you have to realize is, as cheesy as it sounds, it's not always about being the best. It's about being the best you. It can be hard not to compare yourself to others, especially in a tight-knit community like Appleby, where we hear very little of each other's failures, but quite often celebrate success. But I've realized something very important. My success isn't determined by your work, your accomplishments, or even you at all. It's determined by me. Our community is full of so many incredible people, all with varying skill sets. It's only natural that we succeed in different areas. But why do we fail to acknowledge the people who don't have an important title, a 95 in that tough course, or any other conventional success story? So many of us care about following the paths which have already been paved. But what if we didn't? What if we didn't put such immense pressure on the accomplishments that in 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year won't matter? What if we were to change our perspectives and start bettering ourselves as individuals instead of bettering ourselves for individuals? Your priorities would change. Funny enough, they'd start to align with mine, someone you might consider to be average. So, what is my #1 priority as a grade 12 student a few weeks away from graduating and leaving the place I've been calling home? It's to spend as much time as possible with my head out of my textbooks, my laptop closed, and my mind as far removed from Hamlet, molecular genetics, and everything in between. You might think this is immature coming from someone in mid-summative season, someone nearing what some may say are the most important set of exams in my high school education. However, I'm creating an opportunity to savor some of the most valuable moments from my Appleby experience, something that most high achievers might miss out on if they don't act fast. I think we take for granted life's basic experiences, like forming friendships, making memories, and making the most out of what we're given. Now more than ever, these are the things that should be placed as a high priority. These experiences are average, everyday occurrences, but they're like that for a reason. In the grand scheme of things, they're what actually matter. So I'm going to spend my nights sitting at the Muskoka chairs, watching the stars, remembering all of the memories made with friends, and all of the experiences yet to come. I'm going to spend every single day taking the scenic route to class, enjoying all the Appleby campus has to offer. And I'm going to spend every single moment in between making the most out of my last days at Appleby. I'm going to do this because as the end of our Appleby era approaches, anyone striving for the exceptional might just fail to take the time to reflect and find fulfillment in their achievements, the completely ordinary and average bonds you've made with your friends, peers, and teachers through our shared Appleby experience. But what about after Appleby? Because yes, although we hate to admit it, our futures are quickly approaching. Grade 11s, you have 1 full year ahead of you. In grade 12s, you have just over 1 week until we're all on our way to new things. Many of us will be moving on to attend university, a community far different than the one we've become accustomed to. Those of us who know they're average will leave Appleby, you guessed it, still being average. Those who haven't yet had to come to terms with just being ordinary will enter university to find many others who are exceptional. Perhaps the experience will lead you to the conclusion that yes, you're just like us. Don't lose your way. Take heart from those who have already considered themselves as average, because we've already been equipped with the right skills to lead to success. I've never been graced with a secret talent or skill that has allowed me to be outstanding in a certain subject. Like science, for instance. I've always loved bio and chem, but I can promise you that these courses don't come naturally to me. I had to put in hours of work to understand the topics to my best ability. By doing this, I've learned the value of hard work. Consider my skill in conversation and social interactions. I knew one person on my first day at Appleby. I didn't have a group of friends to go to class with or eat lunch with. So I had to learn the positive aspects of having an approachable sense of humor and a welcoming disposition. I've also encountered failure. Although I attempted to obtain a prefect position, I was clearly unsuccessful. I've learned that desiring a positive experience to an extent can become negative. And I've also realized that accepting my negative experiences can become positive. I'm going to take these lessons with me as I take on my next challenge and every challenge after that, because I'm sure even someone average like me can amount to great success. I'm lucky enough to have finally welcomed both my achievements and challenges with open arms. But I understand not everyone wants to or is ready to do the same. It could take all of you a minute or a month or even a year to come to the same conclusion that I have. But I'm hoping one way or another you all will. I can guarantee at the end of the day, it'll make you a happier, more well-rounded individual. Over the past 15 minutes, each and every one of you must have had the thought that no, this speech is not that great. Some may say it's not the best, and others may simply think it's average. But quite honestly, I'm okay with that, and I hope after listening to me today, you will be too. Now please rise and sing hymn number 423.